All right, then we move on to Friday night's game, which will be the Cotton Bowl semifinal. It is the Texas Longhorns against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Danny, where does this start to pull apart for you?
I think how Texas' offensive line plays against Ohio State's defensive front. From a standpoint of, can they run the football, which they haven't been great recently, and can they protect Quinn Ewers? You know, that to me is one of the biggest question marks I have in the game, because I feel like for Texas to have a chance in this game, they probably have to score because of what Ohio State has opened up. I know Texas defense is pretty good, but I don't think they're going to be able to stop this Ohio State offense. So in order for them to put points against Ohio State, I think it comes down to that offensive line.
I mean, Quinn Ewers has more turnover-worthy plays than big-time throws per PFF.
Mm-hmm. On the season or the playoff?
I think on the season, if I was sorting it right. Like,
I mean, I knew that.
Like if it's not schemed up for him, I am interested in how aggressive Ohio State wants to play defensively. Now, against Oregon, they did not play quite as aggressively in terms of the number of guys they sent beyond the line of scrimmage. You know, like they were crowding it, but they weren't actually sending them across. Like they were just kind of flooding some of the short stuff, especially I think with Stewart out. Like how aggressive do they want to be? I think I want to be pretty aggressive because Ohio State's also increased tempo the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I think they want to play a little bit faster, and they're okay with getting in more of a shootout with Texas. I don't think they want to play like a super, super slow game.
I mean, if I'm Ohio State, it is 100%. I am willing to create more possessions because we think that we're going to be able to go out. We think our quarterback's playing better. We think we've got more good wide receivers. We think we can run the football better with our duo of running backs. Like the principle of you create more possessions, you give the more talented team more chances to win. Buckeyes 100% should be out there just letting it fly, because while Matthew Golden has become Quinn Ewers' go-to guy, and some of that, what is it? The best ability is availability. While everybody else is getting banged up and in and out of the lineup, Golden's been the only one that was there. And
is that a good thing?
Is that a good? I was going to say,
like, does he scare you that much? Like that's what I'm asking.
He has answered the call in ways that have been impressive. They have needed for him to make some big time catches. He has made some big time catches, but on like a pure scouting standpoint, you're not putting him. I mean, are you putting him fourth in the Ohio State wide receiver room?
Probably third.
Ahead of Tate?
Yeah. I mean,
but that's a debate, right?
Texas kind of needs like 100% Bond to play like at his ceiling.
Yeah.
I think to win this game. They're also getting Cam Williams back, right? The right tackle.
Right.
That could be huge.
He was questionable going into the quarterfinal. He ended up not playing, but I would expect, given the work that he did to try to get ready for that he's going to be good to go.
I think Ohio State's going to kill him.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, if you look at in the playoff, there have been 3 close games, if you want to count the Boise State Penn State one, because that did, like, the touchdown late in that game made it look bigger than it was. But there have been 2 other games where it was still kind of one score in the fourth quarter. Guess who was involved in both? Texas against Clemson, and then Texas blowing that second half lead against Arizona State. I think the interesting part of this matchup will be that defensive line of theirs against the Ohio State offensive line, which has looked much better. Maybe if they could make them look like they had about a month ago, Texas is able to make this a game and slow down the Ohio State offense. It's just nothing about Texas for the last month has really been that impressive to me on offense. Like we talked about how in the Clemson game, yeah, they solved their red zone problems, okay? But guess who has a horrible red zone defense? Clemson. They were able to just run the ball on them because Clemson couldn't stop the run. And if you look at their last 4 games, going back to Texas A&M, in the red zone, they are scoring 3.19 points per possession, which is terrible, especially for an elite team. Like on the season, Texas, which has been average, is at 4.34. So they've been 1.2 points fewer in these last 4 games. Guess who has the best red zone defense in the country?
It's Ohio State.
It's Ohio State. So your kicker is missing field goals. You're unable to finish drives. And now you're going against a defense that is playing on fire, who has been exceptional in the red zone all season long. Unless you are able to scheme up those explosives in big plays for touchdowns, I think Texas is going to have a real problem scoring in this game. And I don't think they're going to be able to do it for what you guys were just talking about. So the more I look at this game, and I don't want to give away a lock, but I think Ohio State blows the absolute doors off these guys. Put it in your promo video. I don't care. I think you're going to get your ass kicked. Just be honest with you.
I think there is some chance that Texas defense can get Ohio State to come back to earth a little bit offensively. Yeah. Like they've been redlining about like that's probably the absolute best they can play. And Texas defense, I think, is pretty good. I don't think it's quite as good as the numbers say because they just played a lot of really, really iffy offenses that also had like backup or even third string quarterbacks, which juiced the numbers some. But I mean, I don't think Texas defense is going to play as bad as Tennessee did or as bad as Oregon did. Just my opinion. So maybe Ohio State's offense comes back to earth some. Ohio State's defense feels pretty bankable to me, though.
Yeah. I think you can say Texas's defense is deserving of its maybe not its specific numbers, but it is deserving of being in there as among the best defenses in the country. Just even you just look at them. I mean, just like look at the bodies that are there, look at how many of them there are, and look at how many times you're like, oh my God, where did Colin Simmons come from? Or like that pocket was just absolutely destroyed by Vernon Broughton getting the push inside, or Jahdae Barron, one of the best defensive backs in the country, coming up with a big play. Like there's enough there to not think that there's some kind of, shout out to Gary Parrish. Like they're not a computer tricker. Like they are not like unworthy of being considered the defense as their strength, because it sure as hell is not the red zone offense. It is not the quarterback position specifically. And so the reason why Texas is here and the reason why Texas has been a top team for most of the season really has come in large part thanks to that defense, which I do think is of championship caliber and the stronger part of the team.
Another just little factor here on the season. Defensively, Texas ranks third nationally in explosive play rate allowed. It's 7.49%. Okay. Do you know what their explosive play rate allowed has been in the 2 playoff games?
Higher.
11.59% against Arizona State and Clemson. Now they're facing Ohio State. Like we talked about it during the year, and it was used against Texas. Like, who is Texas actually beat? Like we heard that all season long. They've gotten to the playoff and they've won twice. But you can argue that their 2 wins in the playoff have been 2 of their worst games this season. And now they're playing the best team they've seen by far.
Do you think there's anything to be said for home field advantage?
No, because it's going to be 32 degrees and full of snow. Ohio State has the home field advantage. Their bus will know how to drive to the stadium. Texas's won't. They'll be slipping and sliding all over the place.
I'm curious to see what you mentioned, Jahdae Barron. Michael Taff, who had the non-targeting call, because he would have been out the first half if they had gone on to win, which was very much. I'm curious to see what they do against Jeremiah Smith and Ibuka and the weapons that they've got, because he's been the beast. How do they slow him down, if at all? It's a huge matchup.
It's a good game. Ohio State travels, by the way. Like it's I am not going to, in a lot of scenarios, I am not going to be out here assuming that Ohio State is going to get dwarfed in terms of fan representation in any stadium with this many tickets available. So it may be in Dallas. There are going to be a lot more Texas fans that have an ability to make it there, but I'll be fairly surprised if it ends up being just swallow them whole. Who's got the coaching edge?
It's not Michigan on the other sideline. I mean, I would say overall, I love Steve Sarkisian. I think Steve Sarkisian is an incredible coach. I think he's one of the best play callers and best play designers that we have in the sport. But overall, and this is not a knock on Texas's staff. It's a very good staff, but the Ohio State staff is Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, and Jim Knowles. Like, I think if you pair the 3 together, I give Ohio State not a huge edge, but a slight edge.
I think I agree.